So large language models, AI as we're now calling it, is just about everywhere nowadays. We hear about it all the time. It's accessible from your smartphone, from your tablet, from your desktop, from your laptop. You've got access to it just about everywhere. Now, along with this new technology, there is the tendency to be a resistance to change. So what is resistance to change? There is something going on. This could be in your personal life, in your work life, in the world, and it's not something you're comfortable with, so you resist that change. Now, in this video, I want to look at the different aspects of resistance to change when it comes to this new AI technology. I'll even explain why I'm making the video and then go through the different aspects of resistance to change. So if you want to find out more, please let me explain. So why am I making this video? Well, there are two reasons. The first is that I've created more AI related content over the last year or so than I have done in the previous years that I've been here on YouTube. And that's because these new large language models are playing an important role in technology, and I make videos about technology. However, I have seen some people saying they are unsubscribing from my channel because they think they don't like the amount of AI content that I'm creating. And I understand that that's absolutely fine. All of us, me included, we subscribe and watch the channels that we like. And if you don't like watching videos about AI, I completely understand. However, some of the comments when people were saying, I'm unsubscribing from this channel, their anger, their negativity seemed more directed towards AI itself or not necessarily towards me. And that got me thinking that some people are unsubscribing not because they have a problem with my videos, the quality of the videos, the depth of the videos, but actually because they have a problem with AI itself, which then led me to start thinking about this concept of resistance to change. And the second idea is that recently I was having a phone conversation with somebody and I just made this throwaway comment that I wouldn't recommend that anybody does a traditional computer science degree today. Now, I did a computer science related degree. It was a business / computer science degree, and that was great, and that's got me through to where I am now in my life. However, there are lots of traditional aspects of computer science that are being taken over by AI. That doesn't mean people shouldn't do any kind of computer related degree, but really degrees nowadays should be more concentrating on data science, the technology of neural networks, of AI, computer vision, so on. So I'm not talking about we don't need to learn about tech. Absolutely we do. However, the old thing of, well, I'm going to become a programmer and I'm going to go to university, learn how to do loops and linked lists and, pointers and memory allocation, all the stuff that you would do, that is less and less important today. And I shocked myself even by saying that. But it did give me a realization that these skills are not as important today as they were, let's say, then when I went to university. So that made me again think about change. I based my whole life on the degree that I chose to do and then the career path that I wanted to go down. But today, if I was making those same decisions, if I was 20 years old, what decisions would I make? I think they would be slightly different if I had the right thinking about it. So again, change and then the resistance to that change. Now, there is a famous quote by a Greek philosopher that says, the only constant is change. In other words, things are always changing. Now, of course, we can go with the simple things, the weather is different every single day, to society and to technology and to, what's going on. And, I'm one of the people that every day I open up a news app to see what's happened in the world, even though it might be on the other side of the world from where I am, or it might be very close to where I am. I'd like to know what's going on because there's constant change. Everything is changing. And that's also true when it comes to technology. One of my sons says to me, how come you lived in a world before there was the iPhone or an Android phone? What did you do before the iPhone? And it wasn't actually that long ago in my kind of point of view that we had these things, but yet there's a big technology shift that he was born after that. So there's always constant change, and this AI revolution that we're in is one of those same things. It's going to change technology and how we do things in the same way. Now, I'm talking in the sense that this AI stuff is inevitable, and AI is inevitable. What do I mean by that? I still remain personally skeptical about the idea of AGI, where you have true artificial intelligence. So we're talking about sentience, self-awareness, creativity, problem solving, feelings, free will, morals, ethics. You can get down that whole path of examining what it means to be human, what it means to have intelligence. I'm dubious about that. However, it is clear that there are machines today that are able to mimic or imitate many aspects of those. I don't think we're anywhere close to talking about free will or ethics or morality or feelings or self-awareness, but we're talking about problem solving, logic, natural language, memory, all that kind of stuff, then of course these are already available in the current large language models. So this stuff is inevitable, and the progress has been absolutely phenomenal. If you just go back to the earlier models, ChatGPT 3.5, and then compare it to where we are today, not only from OpenAI but from Google and the other big companies, Anthropic and so on, then we've made huge advances, and they're not stopping, they're just going, they just keep on developing, and they're pushing the boundaries and all these things all the time. And who knows what the next big surprise we're going to have, just maybe only months away. We've no idea. So since AI is inevitable, then we need to deal with it as individuals, and how we relate to it, and how we measure and cope with this resistance that we may have to change. Now, I think there are society level changes and society level implications. I'm not going to cover that in this video. Just as a side note, for example, I've heard people say well, soon we're only going to be working 2 days a week because AI will be doing the rest. But there's economical issues there. If I'm only working 2 days a week, then my employer's not going to pay me for 5 days a week, so he's going to only pay me for 2 days a week. And so now I'm got less money, and so I can't spend it, and that has huge implications on country-based, continent-based and worldwide economics. All great thinking, I can just sit now and relax and enjoy myself for 3 days a week because the working week, because the AI is doing the other stuff, but I ain't going to get paid for sitting around doing nothing. So there are a whole bunch of society-based things that I'm not going to go into. But what I am going to go into is, what does it mean for me and you as individuals? So when it comes to resistance to change, of course, there is a physical type of resistance, and there is the word sabotage, originally used to refer to labour disputes in which workers wearing wooden shoes, which were known as sabots, were used to interrupt production through different means. Now, apparently there is also a variant that this actually happened in a particular Belgian city, where the workers would throw their wooden shoes into the machines to disrupt production. However, it came about. It is to do with using their wooden shoes to interrupt production by different means, hence the word sabotage. And of course, we've also got the Luddites. They were a group of 19th century English textile workers who opposed the use of certain types of automated machine due to concerns relating to worker pay and output quality. And they often again destroyed the machines, even in organised raids, and there was some quite violent clashes that happened back then. And of course, over time, this term has been used to refer to anyone who is opposed to the introduction of new technology. And that's where we are today. We've got a new technology coming along, and there is a resistance to that change. Now, one thing about dealing with resistance to change is to not underestimate the change itself. So here is a quote: "The horse is here to stay, but the automobile is only a novelty, a fad." And I found this picture here of someone pulling a car using their horse. Now, of course, horses still exist today, but they're not the main method of transport by any measure. And that was from the president of the Michigan Savings Bank when he was advising Horace Rackman, who was Henry Ford's lawyer. So he was advising Horace not to invest in the Ford Motor Company because cars are just a fad. And we could say that maybe AI and these large language models are just a fad bad, but they're not. Now, emotionally, when we're dealing with resistance to change, there are different manifestations, and active resistance, open conflict or vocal opposition to change, protests, strikes and so on. We've seen that with Sabotage and with the Luddites and so on. That is one of the manifestations. There's also another one which is still active, but it's not going out in the streets, and that's when you take on a attitude of negativity, of sarcasm, criticizing the change process, criticizing what's coming, making sarcastic remarks about what's happening and what the new technology can be. And of course, we're seeing that already quite a lot, and I'm sure I've been guilty of that, related to AI. And then, as I mentioned, of course, there is also deliberate sabotage. Now, there's also a thing called passive resistance. And one way that we manifest passive resistance is by procrastination. So in a workplace, you'd be delaying tasks related to the change or avoiding responsibility altogether. In the case of AI, it would be that you would be delaying actually going to have a look at it, avoiding actually what you could learn from it. You're just avoiding it, the whole thing. And another way is by using silent rejection. So again, in the workplace, you would agree at all the meetings that this is what you want to do, but actually you wouldn't embrace the change. And again, you may find that you might say to people, oh yes, that looks interesting, but actually you don't go ahead and actually look into it. And of course, then there is complete disengagement. In a workplace, that would mean skipping meetings, withholding your effort or showing minimal participation. But of course, that can also be related to how you're approaching the availability of these tools today. There is also emotional and behavioural resistance that can cause you stress. You can feel overwhelmed, anxiety, uneasy, resentment, denial, and maybe some people are starting to feel those things. And then, of course, there is the fear of failure, worrying about your own ability to adapt in the new world, which can, of course, lead to hesitation. And then there is just avoidance, employees avoiding training sessions if this is work related, or you just avoiding the subject altogether in your own life. And then there is a cognitive resistance that starts with skepticism, where you really start to say, what's the point of it? Is it necessary? Why are we doing it? We don't need AI. It was just leading to more AI slop. It's not going to be useful. We were better off without it, that kind of thing. And then rationalization, justifying reasons for not adopting the change based on personal beliefs or perceived inconsistency with organizational goals. And again, that happens in the workplace, but if you're talking about your own personal journey, then of course you can rationalize why you shouldn't be involved in this. You could bring up any kind of copyright. Oh, but it's all about copyright. They're breaking copyright. I'm not going to get involved. Things like that. Now, if you are facing in yourself resistance to change, how do you deal with that? Well, this is mainly about inside the workplace. Of course, the first thing is the leadership should be leading the change. So they shouldn't just be taking a background seat. They should be promoting and demonstrating the need for the change up front. There needs to be lots of transparent communication so people don't second guess what's happening, wondering why it's going to happen, will it affect their job, what's going to be the outcome, and so there's lots of mystery remains and therefore distrust and that kind of thing. And then there needs to be support through training, coaches and other resources. And you need to recognize and reward progress to encourage sustained adoption of any new practices. Again, this is workplace related, but as I said, it's not just about the workplace. This will affect everybody. So what can anybody, any individual do? Well, really, it is true, because this is inevitable. If you can't beat them, then participate actively. Don't ignore it. You really should go and try these things out. You should really go and see what can be achieved. You should pay for things if you need to. Use it for free if that's the level you're at, but you definitely need to get involved now so that you're not left behind. You need to understand the technology, you need to understand how large language models work, you need to understand how image generation works. And there are plenty of YouTube videos here on my channel and on other channels that discuss the technology behind LLMs and so on. And then use it as a tool, wield it professionally, become an expert in using large language models and AI models in general, so that you can get what you need to get done and get it done quickly, because you are now a master of these tools. Know where it doesn't work, and that you can use for your advantage, of course, because you can then, in whatever part of your life that you're using it, whether it's at work or at home, you can know where it's good and where it's not good. And of course, you can bring your own skills to fill in the gap
when it's not good, but also know your own weaknesses. Know that you could write a particular thing, you could design a particular thing, but actually you just be more efficient if you let the AI model do it, and then you concentrate on the big picture stuff, or you concentrate on the final goal, and understand the personal benefits of the technology to you. Now, I'm saying all of this because if you just try to ignore it, if you're skeptical, if you're negative, if you just stick your head in the sand, then it's still coming anyway, and your mini protest inside of your own self isn't going to change anything. But the real message I want to get across is that we should remain in this transitional phase where this kind of becomes part of everyday life. We should all remain people focused. People first, tools second. Everyone is in the same boat, whether you're sitting in your home studio like me doing something, whether you are a software engineer, whether you're a writer, whether you're an artist, whether you are working on a construction site, whoever you are, it is the same for everybody. It impacts people differently, obviously in different areas, but we're all going to be living in a world where this has become the norm very, very quickly. And so to do that, you're going to need to be emotionally intelligent. So you need to recognize and understand your own emotions. If you find negativity or skepticism or whatever creeping up in your own thinking, see whether that's about the resistance of a change rather than a genuine actual problem with the way something is working. You need to have empathy for everyone else around you and for yourself, and you need to remain motivated even in the face of what could seem to be that, well, there's no point because it's an AI can do it all now. There's no point in me even trying. Remain motivated, because that's the only way you're going to bring your unique skill set to the world. And finally, adapt. I mean, we've talked about Luddites and so on. Everybody has had to adapt. Today, farmers with tractors or textile mills or whatever, they are just the norm, and the world is still here. So you're going to have to learn to adapt, do something to make sure that you can continue to thrive, not just survive, but thrive in this AI world.
Okay, so there we have it. Resistance to change, to the inevitability of AI. Love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Really, really interesting topic. And, maybe you've got some keen insights that I would really love to hear from you. Okay, that's it. My name's Gary Sims. This is Gary Explains. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you like these kind of videos, then I invite you to stick around by subscribing to the channel. Okay, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.